humanist perspective presented by the New Orleans Secular Humanist Association, following our few principles of humanism.
We're committed to the use of science and reason for understanding the universe and for solving human problems. We're skeptical of untested claims of knowledge, but we're open to new ideas.
We are concerned with securing justice and fairness in society and in ending intolerance and discrimination. We are committed to the total separation of religion and government.
We affirm humanism as a realistic alternative to the theologies of despair and the ideologies of violence. We reject the concept of an afterlife and believe in living a full and rewarding life here and now.
We value and respect each individual's right to judge and lead their lives according to their own position, as long as it's respectful of other people living in a free society.
We hope you enjoy today's program and others in the weeks to follow. Hello, folks. I'm Harry Greenberger, host of this show for many years, and during those years I have also served as the president of the New Orleans Secular Humanist Association. However, last year in 2012, I advised our board that it was time for some new folks to take over as the officers of our organization. And so today, I want to introduce you to the year 2013 president and vice president of the New Orleans Secular Humanist Association. Our president is Charlotte Klasson, who has been a member of NOSHA for about 8 years. She's a graduate of the University of Arkansas with a BA in journalism and public relations. A former magazine editor and book publisher, she's also a volunteer scuba diver at the Audubon Aquarium. She also is the state coordinator for the Louisiana organization of NOW, and has served as the editor of NOSHA's newsletter. Jim Dugan is our new vice president. Jim is completing his doctorate in anthropology at Tulane University, has been a member of our organization for at least 6 years, and I want to welcome both of you to the show, and I want to hear from you what your plans are for the year 2013 for our organization.
Well, thank you, Harry. We talked about it, and we realized that there's not a lot of change that we see coming unless things evolve in a certain, in a way that we just feel as a group it'll work. We don't have a lot of big changes in place. There's so many things that you had done yourself, I think, over the past couple of years, keeping the mission sound and going forward. The non-belief community across the country has had different ebbs and flows of personality conflicts and certain things that took everybody's attention and their imagination. And so a lot of groups probably had the similar thing of, oh, this is interesting, and we're changed.
The national groups did have some upheavals.
Right, and I think it's a testament to you that that we have kind of, we've weathered those ourselves over the past few years and have been very stable heading into 2013.
Let me say this, over all of those years, I couldn't have had a better board of directors, which you all also serve on.
Right.
And so I have no complaints.
But I don't know if Jim might also have a thought about just what he's noticed in the past couple of years.
Well, I think the group is doing very well. I think that our primary goal of keeping our members aware of what's going on in our state and in the country with issues that affect infidels, unbelievers, doubters, agnostics, and atheists of various kinds, and enabling information to be shared between our group and other groups that are like-minded, as well as providing social opportunities for like-minded people. Sometimes we've been very, very successful. I think Charlotte might like to mention the meeting we just had was especially successful.
Right. Let me just say this. You said our state. Our state of Louisiana is a very inhospitable state for non-believers, more so than many other states in the country. All right.
Right. I think NOSHA certainly has an oasis for people on the Gulf Coast, that we are able to provide interesting speakers and topics for the public that just aren't always available unless you have access to a university campus or something like that, where you would hear people coming in from outside. Yes. So I think one of our goals, of course, is to maintain having such an excellent monthly speaker program that we've had. We've got a lot of interesting people who we want to invite, but of course that takes planning, and so that's one of our goals, is to maintain that. And our last meeting was physics professor Dr. Patrick Lestrade, and his meeting was by far the largest meeting we've ever had.
The largest in attendance.
In attendance, that's right. And obviously talking about physics and the origins of the universe, I think that resonated, and that's to say that, maybe just the timing was perfect, that a lot of people were excited about it.
Let me say, Patrick Lestrade has also been a member of our board of directors.
That's right.
For a number of years, and has just recently retired as a professor from the University of Mississippi.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in addition to providing interesting and valuable opportunities for our members, the most difficult thing that our organization has experienced from day one was getting the general public to know that we even exist. You all have any ideas or plans in that respect?
Well, I think over time, I'm sure we could say that a lot of people have seen something about our organization and not realize that, that was a meeting for NOSHA, but something caught their eye if they read it in the newspaper or online. And of course, we've done our Mardi Gras streetcar signs, which I think grab a lot of attention because they're kind of provocative in the way we've done them, just the messages. So as far as something totally new, I think I don't know if Jim might have something that he'd like to add to that. At this point, we don't have something that this is going to just be the idea, but that's in our works to say, how do we start from now to do that?
Now, fortunately, our philosophy, our non-religious philosophy, has great momentum in the country. This is finally, non-believers are becoming large numbers when they take a poll and ask people about their religion, and so we have the opportunity to be a part of this wave that gives us more momentum than we've ever had before. But I also read that the largest age group that has become non-believers are the young people, like, 18 to 25. You all have any specific ideas about how to attract them to our organization?
I think part of this is going to be about outreach at universities and colleges in our area, and attending events that have very, very mixed groups, like Charlotte, you might want to mention about the upcoming rally.
Right. There's an event coming up in April, Reason on the Bayou, Sunday, April 14th, that morning into an afternoon total day event on the LSU campus. And it is an idea to bring together a lot of people and bring it to a university to address some of the problems that we see happening, such as in Louisiana we have the Science and Education Act that there's an effort to repeal
that is misnamed.
That is misnamed, and also concerns about public education with the vouchers. And that particular event will put a face and hopefully attract people at LSU's campus for sure who do not know maybe that there are this many groups in the state.
Now, and this is being sponsored by a student group?
It's a student group. The Capital Area Atheists for Baton Rouge and the LSU Agnostics and Atheists group. I think there's a combination of people who are involved in.
And is this some sort of a national thing, or is just something they originated?
This is just for Louisiana.
And what exactly will take place at that event? Do you know?
There will be speakers who will be talking about this issue. Will be right in the beginnings and have started a legislative session. So there will be people speaking to the actual legislative process of Zach Copeland wanting to repeal the Science and Education Act. So I know Jim has a lot more experience with just knowing about the problems with that we think will be important.
All right. Well, where is this going to take place in Baton Rouge? At the university or
the campus, the student union?
All right. So, but this is like a one-time new thing for Baton Rouge.
That's right. Yes.
To have such a publicly, I presume, promoted atheist event.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's interesting, and that is really stemming from a student group.
Yeah.
Right.
What about student groups in New Orleans?
We need to work on that more. There's certainly a lot of potential for that. We have Tulane, we have Loyola, we have UNO, we have Dillard, we have a variety of institutions.
And UNO, I do want to say, has their Secular Student Association has just gotten organized with the campus, with their student with a specific student organizer, and he's really excited because he thinks he's now going to put in place a group that can withstand, the end of a semester and starting up next year. We think he has really. His name is Isaac Meisenheimer,
and you have some direct contact with
so we can say that is a new thing that we hope that we can support as an organization.
The problem with student groups is that they move on, they graduate, and so they don't have a long-term consistent leadership, so you have to have constant contact. Well, UNO has had some activity. You're at Tulane University. I would think that would be the prime source because these are to begin with, probably from upper income people who are more inclined to also be less religious, and it is a medley of various religions, and kind of like a free-thinking group. What would it take to get a student organization going there?
I think it's quite feasible to do, but it's my impression, having had contact with Tulane now for 10 years, more than 10 years, is that religious issues just don't rate very highly on that campus. You have a very mixed group of students of various religious and non-religious persuasions, but it's not a very religiously activist kind of culture one way or the other. And so it's it's just a little hard to generate the interest and the energy about a secular or unbelievers group.
If I understand what you're saying, that on campuses where there are strong religious organizations and religious activity, it might stimulate the non-religious to do something for the other side.
I certainly, as my personal opinion, I think that's a very, very important factor, is that secular people for a very, very long time have kind of gotten used to floating along under the radar, not attracting much attention to ourselves. And it is really when religious groups become activist, when they provoke secular people by trying to insinuate creationism in the public schools or ban a book or something that is very, very provocative, that generates a lot of energy for a humanist secular kind of group.
Well, now, New Orleans may not have much of that activity, but the state of Louisiana does terribly provocative things, promoting religion and violating the constitutional prohibition of government being involved in religion and vice versa. You mentioned Zach Copeland, who is a very impressive young man who has been trying to get a repeal of that terrible state law that in effect allows them to teach creationism in public schools. And we, of course, have recognized Zach Copeland. You all have any ideas or any plans to try to offset this religion that's getting into our public schools?
If I could soapbox for just a moment.
Yes, go right ahead.
You mentioned Zach Copeland. I think it's very important that we acknowledge his efforts, especially with the Louisiana Science Education Act and the voucher program that is affecting our state right now. This is something, obviously, a group like NOSHA, we're a social group, we're a 501c3, we don't do political activism, but we definitely want to educate our members through meetings and other avenues and through cooperation with other groups about things like the Louisiana Science Education Act that allows teachers to bring creationist materials into public schools funded by tax dollars to teach creationism, and the pending repeals, the effort to get this canceled and backed out, which is going to come up now every legislative session.
With very little prospects of passing.
So far, so bad, but keep at it.
The more it is publicized, I mean, that's part of the issue. Like, for example, we will focus as an organization for our March meeting on Darwin Day. We're going to try to take that and make it a program for our meeting day, for NOSHA, and it's at the zoo, and so it has a great tie-in.
Well, when you mentioned Darwin Day, for the our organization produced the first Darwin Day in New Orleans at Tulane University. Since then, UNO has sponsored the Darwin Day annually, year after year, but that 2012 was the last year that was going to happen. So NOSHA has stepped back in again and said, well, all right, we're going to see that we have a Darwin Day.
Right, exactly.
Which will not occur on his birthday in February because of the Mardi Gras.
Right. February's not good for us.
So there's nothing that says that, and Darwin Day has become an international event.
Yes.
And we're going to do ours, you're going to do ours in the next month. Do you have any kind of definite plans for that now?
Well, it will be on our March 16th meeting on Saturday. We are expanding our hours a little bit, so we'll have some flexibility to bring in several speakers. At this point, we have not gotten our list and details together yet. We're just at the beginning of that, since it was kind of an idea that, well, we need to do something, and so we will probably have some local speakers from the different campuses and make it into something that we highlight our local people, and then we'll have the next year to plan, maybe a larger thing, bring in a specific speaker for that meeting day.
And of course, what Darwin Day does is to bring attention to the theory of evolution.
That's right, yes.
Which some people don't understand what that word theory means, which you could explain, Jim, but it brings that to the attention of people, which says this is science and this is what should be taught in our public schools, and not that fantasy story.
Right.
Well, now, the people who say, well, it's only a theory, explain that, Jim.
Well, it is only a theory, like gravity or the theory that germs cause disease. You might as well, if you want to contest evolution, you might as well be contesting that the Earth goes around the sun, or that the Earth is a sphere. The scientific evidence is quite solid. A theory with a capital T means something that's been very, very well tested in science.
And up to this point, there has been no negative results to say that it is not valid. Is that
that's
correct?
Correct. There's no counter evidence of any significance.
So a theory in this case doesn't mean a guess.
It does not mean a guess, and that is something that I think dovetails very much into the voucher issue that our state is contesting with right now, which is something else we want our members to be very, very much aware of, which is a program that shuns some public money, some tax dollars, to private schools some of which are religious schools, which is an issue in its own right, which means that tax dollars are funding religious schools. Some of those religious schools, of course, have very solid scientific educational programs, but some don't. And we've seen many examples in the state of schools that are participating in the voucher program that use textbooks published by outfits like Bob Jones University Press, like Abeka Books, that convey a very, very false idea of what the scientific theory of evolution is about and propose a creationist theory. And I would emphasize those books are not teaching the controversy. They're not teaching both sides of the issue. They're really teaching creationism now at taxpayer expense.
As the explanation for the existence of everything.
Of everything.
I see. Now, my understanding about this voucher system is that the money goes to the parent, who can then use it at any school he wants. Is that the way it's working? Which made it
theory. It is done in the name of the parents, but the money actually goes directly from the state to the school.
Now, why is that not unconstitutional, and why does not the ACLU take that on as a case?
The Supreme Court has weighed in on that issue and has said that it is okay in some circumstances, as long as the support of religion is a side effect or is indirect, this is allowed. Probably what the Supreme Court was thinking of is the usual kind of religious education that you would see in something like most Catholic schools or most religious schools that are associated with large denominations, where they teach the usual curriculum. They fall in with state standards, but they add some religious education over and above that.
Yes.
But that's not what all of these schools are doing. What some of these schools are doing are taking some of the standard curriculum out and replacing it with a revised version. There's a very heavily revisionist aspect of both history, selections of what English literature can be read, as well as science. So there's many, many changes in the curriculum that are happening.
And this is not actionable by the ACLU?
It may be, but it's going to take some time to sort that out. And of course, you always need a good test case. You have to have a parent with a child in that school who is willing to be the test case for that.
Which can be very difficult for a family to be singled out as opposing religion.
Especially when the family is making a choice, in these cases, to send their children to a particular school. Yes. And they always have the option of changing their mind.
Okay. Now, we've talked about some of the educational aspects of what we're doing. How about the social activities?
Well,
tell us about that.
I was going to say that one of the things that probably over the past few years has helped is reaching out to having, we just recently renamed our, we have some dinners where people can just get together for casual meals at area restaurants that can handle larger groups, called the Last Supper Dinner Club. We've named it, and so we have a dinner club. One of the aspects that I think speaks to your point earlier about how do you reach out to various groups and do things that resonate. This past year, we developed the idea of the Freethinker Social Aid and Pleasure Club to try to have some volunteering efforts in the community, and I think that resonates with a lot of people who are younger who are not religious people by nature. So therefore, they're looking to have a community where they can be involved in activities that serve the homeless, that serve community cleanups, that animals. So that's another aspect that has been developed over the past year that we hope in this year we'll have a few more activities that will be of interest to people. They'll bring people together. Some people come to the dinners and to volunteering who don't necessarily come to our monthly meetings for whatever reason. And so it is expanding into the community so they know that there's a group of people they can identify with.
One of the things that appeals to people who go to church is that the community and being, meeting with like-minded people and enjoying their company. We have a community.
Yes, we do.
And so we need to provide that same sort of camaraderie that people get when they meet with their church groups, and you're saying that's what we're aiming to do.
Right, and we've had a lot of success with that. We do our own social media. We have a very active Facebook page that has nearly, I think we're over 450 people on that, and many of those people, yes, there's a sizable portion who are already NOSHA members who have been part of our group, but there's a lot of people who are from the surrounding area who keep up with us, and we've had people find us and come to events if they're just passing through town. So
I'm glad you mentioned surrounding, because the organization is the New Orleans Secular Humanist Association, but our territory that we mapped out is everything within 100 miles of New Orleans, which includes Baton Rouge, the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and southern Louisiana. So we're not exclusively New Orleans.
That's
In
right.
fact, most of our members may be outside of Orleans Parish.
That's right, and I wanted to put in a plug for our website, because we've received compliments. We always ask people where they find us, and many people stumble onto our website by just doing a simple search. And I wanted just to highlight a few of the things that we get there. It's nosha.info, nosha.org, whichever is the easiest for someone to remember.
NOSHA being NOSHA, which is New Orleans Secular Humanist Association. Right.
Yes, you can see all of the episodes of the New Orleans Humanist Perspective, this TV show. So, and then you can access a lot of different media if you're interested in articles about humanism and non-belief of all types. You can. We have a feed from the Atheist Experience, Free Thought Radio, another popular show called The Non-Prophets. And so there's a lot of things that if you're looking for a catch-all to read up on everything, then it's right there on our website. So we're very proud of the website because it's been very successful, and you can read everything about us.
And you can see the latest meetings that we'll be having that
That's
are
right.
open to everyone.
To the public, right.
Last Supper, or
yes.
we call it the Heretics Brunch.
The Heretics Brunch, we do that occasionally throughout the year.
And let me reiterate that all of our events are open to the general public, except maybe our annual banquet.
Right, where that's ticketed, yes.
So a person doesn't have to be a member to participate in our activities.
That's right. You can show up and just enjoy the conversation.
All right, we've got about a minute left, so I'm going to let you all decide what you want to tell this audience for the next minute or so.
Well, I think we both agree that we think NOSHA is on a very solid footing, and that we have a lot of interesting programs that we're going to be continuing as far as things that we've done for several years successfully. And so I think there's a lot of very nice people to find at NOSHA, and some people should just give us a chance, even if it doesn't fit their monthly schedule all the time. Just come and say hello.
And we have some really interesting meetings and speakers coming up.
Okay. Do you have you set next month's speaker?
Well, actually, this month, morality, what's God got to do with it? An evening with Dan Barker on Friday, February 22nd.
Oh, well, and he's a very well-known leader in the movement.
Yes.
Well, folks, our time is up. We're very happy that you joined us, and we hope to see you again often.